heute. Herzlich willkommen. A warm welcome. You want to go to Germany to study or to work and you want to learn German? That's the right decision. A good thing to do. Germany has excellent career prospects at the present time. Now the Germans do a lot to promote their language. For example, students are encouraged to learn German and at least take the A1 exam, and you can get extra credits for this during your study program. Also, many universities have the A1 certificate as a precondition for you to actually be able to take the semester exam. So it makes sense for you to do the exam and get the certificate right now here in India itself, because these credits can be taken over to your study program. You don't have to do the exam again when you go to Germany. And what's more, if you do the exam and take the certificate even before you take your first steps towards your career in Germany, that is, when you apply to universities, if you have the certificate, you are demonstrating your German language proficiency, and naturally your application is going to stand out. It's going to be preferred. So the right time to get your Goethe A1 German certificate is now, right? But not all certificates are valid or recognized in Germany. That's the catch. Only 3 certificates, that's the Goethe A1 certificate, which we are going to target, and the TELC and the USD from Austria are recognized from India. Now, learning German is not the same as learning German for the exam. The approach towards the language is completely different. For example, at A1 level, nobody is going to expect you to make a flawless sentence with perfect grammar, right? Rather, you're expected to be able to talk in a way that the other person can comprehend what you're saying, and also you're supposed to be able to understand what the other person is saying and answer the questions and talk in the right way. That means the pronunciation and the style of the language are very, very important. And that's what we are going to learn during our training sessions. The pronunciation is so important that, if you don't pronounce the words correctly, they won't be able to understand what you're saying. Now, as regards to the style of the language, for example, you don't say, "What's your name?" in German. You say, "How is your name?" And you don't say, "How are you?" You say, "How is it going for you?" So the way of learning by translating from English or any other language to the foreign language like German is not a good idea. You have to learn the language, as it should be spoken, right? So now the exam consists of 4 parts. 3 parts, that's the reading comprehension, writing, and the listening part, are grouped together and evaluated as one. And the speaking part is evaluated separately. So you have to pass the speaking part and the other 3 combined separately, right? So that makes the speaking part all the more important. Now, for example, in the exam, you're supposed to ask your neighbor questions and answer your neighbor's questions, and your neighbor is also supposed to ask you questions and answer your questions. Now, it can so happen, and it has happened, that the neighbor asks you a wrong question. Now, what do you do in such a peculiar situation? You can't go and tell the examiner, "Oh, I was asked the wrong question." You have to be able to get around this kind of awkward situation. So that's what we are also going to learn during our training. That's very, very important, right? So now let's just see a small glimpse of what we are going to be learning during the training.